What is it that you do? Because you said you've got to G yourself up for those situations. For all of our introverts out there, what do you do? What's the skill for our introverts?
Well, no pressure.
No.
Just talked a bit. I mean, this is a little bit embarrassing, but talked a bit to myself in the mirror because also sometimes I find, especially because I'm in my own head, often you find I'll be thinking because I ruminate a lot, as an introvert. And so think a bit about that, practice that, and practice talking and my voice and modulation and all of that. So. And I just have learned over time that I need to do that. If I'm working straight, like if this was a job interview and I was walking straight into it, that's what I would have to do to prepare for it, to show up and be my best.
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast. This episode, proudly sponsored by the Guinea Group of Companies, an organisation that helps leaders upgrade their mindset, upskill their leadership, and uplift their teams. If you would like the opportunity to sponsor an episode of our podcast, please reach out to the team at the Guinea Group, theguineagroup.com.au, the team at theguineagroup.com.au. Can't wait to hear from you. And if you would like to be a podcast guest, click on the information sheet that is available on the podcast page. Dedicated listeners, Keir Paterson is the CEO of Neighbourhood Houses Victoria, peak body representing around 400 neighbourhood houses and community centres around Victoria. Been in the role since 2022 and really driving NHVIC's, which is National Neighbourhood Houses Victoria's strategic vision around and some governance, accountability and engaging government and stakeholders to ensure long-term sustainability of the housing sector. Did I get that? Is that cool?
Pretty close, yeah. We don't actually so we don't build houses. They are like community centres. Yeah.
Got
so
you.
So there's the 400 sort of community centres. They sometimes called neighbourhood houses, neighbourhood centres, community centres. They're all over the state and visited by about 185,000 people a week.
That's a lot of humans. There'd be some physical safety there. There'd be, I guess, all sorts of public concerns that you would have to deal with. Yeah,
absolutely.
5,000.
Yeah, that's right. We definitely fly under the radar. I mean, there are more neighbourhood houses in Victoria by a long shot than there are 7-Elevens or McDonald's. But we we don't have the same marketing budget that they have.
That's right. Wow. And what are the services you provide through those community centres, Keir? Like, why do 185,000 people visit?
They're incredibly diverse because they work with the local community to identify their issues and solutions. And so they do everything from community education, which can be, English, literacy, numeracy, helping people connect digitally. They help people access online government services. They run children's programs. They run programs for seniors. So largest sector providing physical exercise for seniors, chair yoga and things like that. They do there's a lot of community gardening that goes on. And increasingly, because of the, where we are at now in this cost of living crisis, they are increasingly doing food relief and material relief. So the sector across the state does about 12 tonnes a day of food relief. So incredible. It's incredibly productive and efficient sector to do all of that really off the smell of an oily rag. And I will also say it is more than 90% female in terms of the workers in our sector, and often do a huge amount for not a lot.
Wow. And some of them volunteers too, Keir, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So they're about we wouldn't exist without volunteers. So although we've got about 5,500 paid workers, there are around 12,000 regular volunteers on top of that.
You've got a 17,500 human org chart.
Well, they're not our employees.
Oh, right. I was
So,
gonna say, wow.
we're the peak body for the sector.
Right.
So they're all those 400 are community organisations in their own right.
Okay, now gotcha. I got
Yeah.
you support all those.
That's correct. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I was going to say, jeepers creepers, you're busy, but you are anyway. I know that you are. Influence. We sent you through. I hope you've had a chance to have a quick look at some of the questions. We define influence as that capacity to have an effect on the character, the development, or the behaviour of something or something. What does influence mean to you, Keir? You know, when you think of how you influence volunteers or community centres or those 400 little organisations, what's influence mean to you?
Look, influence to me really is bringing people along with you to do good in the world. That's where, you know, it was a really good question, and I had a really good think about it. But for me, that's what it means. It's not about influencing people to your point of view. It's about meeting them where they're at, working with them, and coming up with those common goals and common ground to achieve good in the world. You know, that's why I can't go to work every day.
To achieve good in the world. I like that, because I think what you sort of hinted at then is if you try to influence someone to your point of view, especially if it's misaligned with their values, we might put the word manipulation on it, and some people sort of say that that's uncool, which it is. So influence is that positive impact, right?
Yeah, that's right. But also, I think being open to being influenced as well. You know, so when I'm saying meeting people halfway, so not necessarily trying to impose your view, but I don't have all of the answers. And especially in the role that I play, where I'm not on the front line, you know, I'm working with 400 organizations that are on the front line. I learn as much, if not more, from them than they do from me.
I reckon that's one of the best answers we've had. What's influence? Well, it's about being open-minded enough to share our beliefs with each other and see where we land in the middle to achieve common good and to achieve change.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think at the moment we could all agree we need a bit more of that in the world.
I'm with you. We do a Speak Safe program, so we do leadership coaching and training and psychological safety. And one of the parts of that, Keir, is the A in care. So communicate with acceptance. You know, accept other people, accept that everyone's got a different viewpoint.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and look, that's what our sector exists for. I mean, ultimately, we are, you know, no matter what you go to a neighbourhood house for, you'll have that immediate need met. But what you actually get is far greater than that, which is connection to other people and connection to the community. And that's really, I mean, that is our secret sauce. Like, that's why we exist.
Connection to others, connection to community. Thank you so much. Great answers. Now, Keir, quick one. Who's had the biggest influence on you? When you look back on your career, you've obviously become very successful, and you haven't done that on your own, I'm sure. I'm sure you've had some people helping you along the way. Yeah,
I mean, there have been a lot, but I would have to, I mean, the person that came up immediately was my mum, actually. So you know, and not that my mum gives me career coaching, but just when every decision that I make, I mean, she probably liked to, but every decision that I make in my day is, it comes back to the values that I learned as a kid. And we, you know, and also, you know, my experience as a kid, you know, like most people, it was not all smooth sailing. So, you know, my parents, my mum did a PhD sort of later in life, in her 30s. And then she took my brother and I off to the US to do her postdoctorate on her own. So my parents split up. We moved to the US with my mum, as she had a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. And she did her postdoctorate there and went on to become a successful scientist. But just seeing that example, first of all, but also just I think more strongly, she was always motivated to help others, to do good. So she was always about, through her research, she ended up becoming a medical researcher, and through her research was all about making life better for others. And so that you know is, you know, that is my kind of North Star. Like that's what I follow every day. And so, you know, her example, I think more than anything, is probably the thing that influenced my leadership the most.
Whoa. Values as a kid, help others, which were role modelled by mum, who went and made it a career and was willing to move countries to do that, and to take her two little boys along the journey with that. Wow. It's a big deal.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, it's incredible what I mean. She's 85 now. She only retired fairly recently.
Is that right? Worked into her 80s.
Yeah, so she was working into her 80s. Yeah.
Go, Mum. Go, Mum. I wonder if she'd be a guest on our podcast one day, Keir.
She'd be very happy to be, I'm sure.
I'd love to talk to her. Mate, in saying all that, you've got probably a team of leaders, general managers, and
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How do you influence them? What is it? What's a key influence skill?
Look, I think it's really I had to think about this when I saw the questions, right? So for me, I'll answer that probably two different ways. Firstly, just something that I've had to learn is just how you project energy and authenticity, right? So I'm quite an introverted person. I'm not I'm not naturally outgoing. I have to, when I come into a situation where I need to show my influence, and often that involves projecting a bit of yourself, a bit of energy. Like that's something that I have to G myself up for, and it's something that I have to be mindful of how I use my energy and replenish it as well. As a leader, because you can very quickly get burnt out if that doesn't come naturally to you. So I think that energy piece is really important for me, and how you show up, I guess, is what the terminology they use today. But that's really important to me. But then also just being authentic and listening, I think is the most important thing. Because again, whether I'm working with our members, with the neighbourhood houses, or it's with my team, it really is like, you have to admit you don't know all the answers, especially as a senior leader, you can't. And you have to have a degree of humility, I think, coming into those interactions. And so people understand that, their contribution, you value it just as much as you value your own. And that's really how you get the best out of people.
Oh, I heard energy, authenticity, mindful, listening, and humility. So if I'm looking down and writing, but that's thank you. Really, really well put. I love the energy piece. So, and I love introverts because I'm certainly not one. I need humans. Yes.
Yeah.
I get my energy from other people, and if I'm not talking to humans, I really don't get a lot done because I'm not energized by my own company. So I really get that, and I'd love to just. What is it that you do? Because you said you've got to G yourself up for those situations. For all of our introverts out there, please tune in. If you haven't listened yet, please focus on this next response from Keir, because it's going to be powerful and impactful. What do you do? What's the skill for our introverts?
Well, no pressure. What do I do? Well, I'll tell you. So this morning, I'm not a morning person either. So you've got me right. You haven't got me at a good time. I'm definitely fire up in the afternoon. In terms of my energy, I mean, some really basic things that I did this morning. I made sure I got up a bit earlier than usual. I went for a walk. When I had my morning shower, I had a bit of a blast of cold water just to get me to calm my nerves a bit, but also wake me up. Obviously had my coffee, did a bit of reading, did a bit of thinking, took some notes, and then just talked a bit. I mean, this is a little bit embarrassing, but talked a bit to myself in the mirror, because also sometimes I find, especially because I'm in my own head, often you find I'll be thinking, because I ruminate a lot, as an introvert, and so I come up with I will have the perfect answer in my head, but the way it comes out is not what I expected. So had to, think a bit about that and practice that, and practice talking and my voice and modulation and all of that. So, and I just have learned over time that I need to do that. If I'm walking straight, like if this was a job interview and I was walking straight into it, that's what I would have to do to prepare for it, to show up and be my best.
And by the way, thank you so much for doing all of that to prepare for our chat. That I just want to recognise that and just say that is a big deal, that you put so much time and effort into. You care enough about this little part of your day that you're willing to do that much prep. That's a big deal, and I do love that you're able to explain all that. That's off tap and good. Well, you've shown up very energetically, and you're on time, and
yeah. Well, now you know. Now you know what goes into that. But absolutely. I mean, you say like I absolutely do care about it, but also let's be honest, like fear is a big motivator as well. So I don't want to be, I don't want to be recorded and make an idiot of myself. So that's a pretty strong motivator as well.
There's nothing like a video camera pointed straight at your Keir that gets you a little bit focused. I love it. And remember, we can edit anything out. We don't actually do a lot of editing on these, other than just to get reels. So I'm going to get that little bit. We'll get that bit for the introverts out there. Check this out. But people like yourself are so articulate. You speak well. You're prepped well. And sometimes I don't like. We send this out, and I never know whether people do the prep or not. Our guests are so well spoken and so articulate generally that there must be some prep that goes into it in the background. So again, thank you.
Absolutely. This is not me on a normal morning at 9:30 in the morning.
Is that right?
No,
I love it. I'm very much probably I'm a morning person. My alarm goes off at 3:45 here, and it's on the bike, and then it's meditation, and so I've got a bit of a morning routine that keeps me going for the day. But what that means is that by about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, I am gazonkered. I'm in bed. Yeah. I'm asleep by 8. So you probably get more work done at night time, or in the evening.
That's when I prefer to work. Yeah, that is when I prefer to work. But we're all, and that's also like, and that is part of what, we're talking about getting the best out of a team. It's also recognizing that people, everyone's different, and what gets the best out of them is going to be different.
I love it. We talk a lot in leadership coaching here about the one-on-ones with your team members and making sure you're connected. And what we say is, make sure you're working on their cadence. Don't force one-on-ones on them weekly if they only want monthly, or don't do it monthly if they need weekly, or don't do it in the morning if they like, you know what I mean? Like, be really respectful.
Really good advice. Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree with that.
What is your leadership mantra, Keir? What, have you got the sort of the slogan that could go on the top of the whiteboard, or is it, what's the mission?
I don't know that I do have a mantra actually, but when I did read that question, and I had to think about it, and I love the thing that came to mind for me, and what I sort of what has always stood out as really true, is really stuck in my head, is when I was a young kid, I read the sermons of Martin Luther King. I was an unusual child, so, and that was part of the introversion, and I moved around a lot, so I went to 7 different schools. I was always having to make new friends. And so I did spend a lot of time at the library, spent a lot of time reading. But I read the sermons of Martin Luther King when I was 12 or 13 or something. And there's a phrase that he used that always stuck with me, where he talks about the importance of being tough-minded and tender-hearted. And that's something that has always stuck with me as the sort of leadership that I aspire to. You've got to be tender-hearted. You've got to lead with your heart, especially when you do the kind of work that we do in our sector. But at the same time, you do have to be tough-minded. You've got to make tough decisions. You can't go with the flow. And that is it's very hard. It's a hard combination to crack. It really is. I'm sure we can all think of people that we've worked with who are really tender-hearted, but perhaps lacked that, tough-mindedness. They weren't willing maybe to make the difficult decisions. And we've all worked with people who find the difficult decisions actually very easy, but they're people that we prefer not to be around, right?
We call them high Ds in disc profile sometimes if they're too high.
Yeah, that's
too
right.
direct.
It's that, they're really in the human synergistics, it's that really red personality, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So but I think if you can find the sort of middle path between those, and I think that's it. Like that's the job.
I love it. And I think that tough-mindedness too is probably more than decision making. I think there'd be a resilience aspect to that, Keir. Picking yourself back up, tenacity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely agree. Yeah.
And that, resilience is such a learnt skill. Like, I don't think we're born resilient. I think, those 6 elements of our personal resilience, which are your vision, your collaboration, your composure, which is emotional intelligence, reasoning, health, and tenacity. And I think that's where the tough-mindedness comes in, so that that no matter what comes at you, you're going to be okay. You've got the capacity to deal with it, I guess. Is that sort of a tough-mindedness?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I'm sure we can all, but I think we can all learn. You can all look at experiences that we had where we were put in a corner and we had to have that tough-mindedness. And I think that's how if you can draw on those experiences and build your resilience through those experiences, and not be broken by them, that's the key. That's the key to it, in my view.
Well said, because I think after a tough situation, we can either learn and go into post-traumatic growth, or we can ruminate. It's such an important word in resilience, when you said that, or ruminate on tough situations, and it sort of pushes it into post-traumatic stress, let's say.
If you can't get out of that loop, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
That's it. And sometimes we need to reach out. We've just gone through Are You OK Day, and there's so many, you'll have an EAP in your business that people can reach out to. And you're a great leader.
Yeah, that's right. And look, also, I think I'm very open with my team about some of the struggles that I've had, over the years. And so, and that creates an environment where people do feel safe to then to talk about the problems that they're having. And again, that's, we are much more resilient if we share our problems.
Love that. Sounds a little bit like Brene Brown, the whole blame, shame, and vulnerability, being vulnerable enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of hers. And I agree with that really strongly.
Nice, mate. Amazing, Keir. Big question. Who is your favourite, or when you look back over your career, who's the human that you're most proud of that you were able to influence? Who looked to you and said, Keir, I need your help, I need your guidance? Is there, and I know there's probably more than one, you've been a leader for a long time, so you've got some people that you've brought on the journey. Is there someone that you really go, you know what, I'm really happy with how they turned out based on just that little bit of input that you had into their life?
Yeah, I will. I'll use an example actually out of my work life, if that's all right. I mean, there have been plenty of examples within my work life, but I, a few years ago, or going back more than a few years, I got involved with in my local area with a Somali organisation. So it's East African organisation, and we developed just as a volunteer, I worked with them to develop a homework club. And we had a number of kids come through that homework club where I could see it had a really clear positive impact on them. And I still run into those kids in my local area today, and say good day, and they tell me what they're up to, what they're studying at uni, those sorts of things. That, and I'm not, it wasn't anything like particularly brilliant about me. It was just showing up and helping and getting other people in my community that I'm connected with to come in and help as well. And so, we it's amazing. It's not often in life that you can point to someone and go, actually, I made a difference in that person's life. And so, you know, I unfortunately am not that involved in it now because it's still going. I'm not that involved because I just haven't got time. But it was, you know, just it's an amazing opportunity. Like, you know, and I would encourage anyone to get involved to volunteer in their local communities. It's something that has been really important to me, both from a well-being point of view. So has really helped me in like my mental health journey, volunteering and being, you know, active in my local community and connected to my local community. We know now that is a really important driver of positive mental health. So I got more out of it actually than I was able to contribute to somebody else. But being able to then see the contribution that I've made and others have made, that I've facilitated, has just been incredible. You know, it is incredible.
Right.
To be able to point to that and really aligned with my values too.
Oh, nice. And great example. Best ever. And I think we should do part 2 at some stage in the future. I'll value your time today because we only had half an hour. I'd love to know maybe some of those mental struggles, if you're happy to share those with
I have spoken about it before. I'm very happy to.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might take you up on that, Keir, for a couple of months' time.
All right, that sounds good.
Thanks, mate. Last question, Keir, which we ask every one of our podcast guests. Is there someone that you would recommend that we speak to next? Because you will be connected to a whole range of people that I'm not.
Yeah, well, you know, my mum.
Yes, so that's it. We've got your mum. Would you mind connecting? Is mum Mrs. Paterson still, or did mum remarry and get a different surname, or?
No, well, she did remarry. She kept the surname.
Right,
Dr. Paterson. So Yvonne Paterson. Very happy to connect you to her. But also, the one that I thought of immediately was an incredible social entrepreneur here in Melbourne called Beck Scott, who's co-founder of a not-for-profit called Street, which does an incredible variety of things. But really their core is helping kids experiencing or at risk of homelessness get into work, and also they have a whole wraparound around them with psychs and all kinds of other specialists that then help them deal with the other issues that might be a barrier to them joining the workforce. So they are an incredible organisation, and she is a really inspiring individual.
If you wouldn't mind connecting me with those two amazing ladies, that would be super duper.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Keir, you've been amazing. I hope this hasn't been too energetically draining for you, being the introvert. I've had fun. Your answers have just been so insightful, and can't wait to do it again with you. And we'll let you know when this is out. Stay strong, keep up the good work, and thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Anton. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening. We just had an amazing guest on to another amazing podcast of Find Your Influence. My name's Anton Guinea, and for 20 years I have been working with, training, coaching and consulting leaders at all levels of organisations. I've coached Gen Z leaders right through to baby boomer leaders. I've done 1,500 one-on-one leadership coaching sessions. My mission on this planet is to help leaders create high-performing and psychologically safe teams. If you want to upgrade your leadership, upskill your teams, or upskill your leadership, please reach out. You can get me at anton@theguineagroup.com.au. Please tune into our next episode. These podcast chats are amazing. The value and the information that you get will help you be more influential and help you be a better leader.